Alright, let's get underway. We've got ourselves a couple of machines to get done, so we may as well get started. It's getting late. So the first one we've got here is a beautiful classic 1466. And interesting, it's got some sticky bits on it. That's all good. It's already been partially disassembled, so okay, to be fair, in most cases I'm not actually a fan of them being partially disassembled, but in this case it's alright. They just took the bottom off, they kept the screws. Easy enough for the 1466 for me to know where the screws go. It's pretty much something you can do in your sleep. And apparently this one's got a hotspot near the CPU, so I'm kind of expecting a cap or something like that to have popped its guts. But first thing we'll do is protect the data for the customer. Get the drive out. We don't want to accidentally remove all chances of them having any kind of happiness. Hi there, everybody. So what is this? This is 1512. I know it's a little bit naughty writing on their equipment, but quite frankly I think they'd much prefer that than me losing it and going, well, I've got no idea whose equipment this is. I'm all energetic. That's because I'm actually alive. Try to put a little bit more effort into these sort of things rather than just coming on here and drowning everybody with my sorrows. Try to get a bit more life into it, shall we? And I've sort of come towards the end of a rather extensive development of Flexboard View. So hopefully the end of this week or somewhere around about that we should have a official release. And there's going to be a number of changes. There's going to be a bit of a squeezage on people who are using Flexboard View without actually having gone through the proper channels of getting a license. So they're going to stub their toes on some unfortunate scenarios. I'm sure they'll still work it out a few days later, but it will severely hamper some of the things that they want to do. Okay, pop that out. Okay, we've got to get the hinge screws out so that we can lift up the Wi-Fi cable so that we don't butcher it when we're taking the heatsink screw out, because a lot of techs, they don't bother with that little move and they just ram the driver in and it chomps on those Wi-Fi cables. And then the customer gets the machine back and they've got fairly poor Wi-Fi performance, understandably, because essentially what's happened is the antenna has been ruined. Yeah, I should get some solder for the release. I think that would be a good idea. Alright. It's kind of stuck on there, so it's interesting. There's a little bit of a tidal mark there, a little bit of liquid, and actually over here as well, but I'm not sure whether perhaps that is simply, it might have just been the wash from the factory. Let's take a dive under the microscope, see if we can see anything. Hey, 10-minute toes. Crikey, there's a bunch of people turning up. Not bad for a Monday. Alright, we're a little bit high. Come on down. Now they said there's heat around the CPU area. So there's not many things that you can feel so easily around the CPU, like contact. So it's usually one of these caps. Yeah, they're the most common culprit for heat. Yeah, there's a bit of fluff and junk, but nothing too bad. Let's have a measure on that rail and see if we've got a short. There, Ian and Falcon. We've got ourselves a serious short there. And I think that might be the culprit. Let's really dive in and have a look, see if we can find anything that has a distinct physical defect, or I can obviously just put this under put a short bit of power in there and feel it, but I'm kind of curious to see if I can visually find which one it is. It's kind of half the fun, don't you think? But it's definitely shorted there. Have a look at it at an angle. Hey Tony. Sometimes you can see the venting out or the damage from an angle. Obviously if it's the middle ones, that's a little bit harder. Bench top in the way. The new microscope light board should be here probably end of this week. I'm looking forward to that. That'll be a nice project. Yeah, I'm really not 100% sure. Can't see any very clearly defined issues here, so yeah, we may have to apply power and just see what gets hot. That's kind of boring, but I guess we have to do it. Now, if they can feel it, then there's no real need for me to actually bring out the infrared camera. I can just do it using good old wholesome alcohol. So we'll plug in our board, DC in board. Turn on our MagSafe. Find the MagSafe. Hey there, Phil. How's things going on your side of the planet? Yeah, I've got 5 watts. Come on. Oh yeah. Oof. Not used to using the old touchy method. I'm getting slapped, but yeah. There we go. Let's see which one it is. Wait, which one is it? Oh, it's not doing it anymore. No. There we go. I think we've got a winner in the middle here. Yeah, that's a very feisty one. Very cranky little cap. Alright, well, that's pretty much sort of like one of the easiest failures that you can pick up. Alright, let's get rid of that cap. Hey Patrick. About the most difficult thing about this one is simply removing it. Trying to get it out there without damaging any of the others, because if you put too much heat on here with the hot air, you can end up causing the ones next to it to be damaged. So we're going to use a bit of pickling with leaded solder. So here we go. Hey James Lovelock. Get ourselves a standard issue starting for the Monday. Come on mate. Come on. just turn on hot air where I'm at it. We're going to put that at 250. And the 250 is going to assist me because it takes a lot of heat to get things up to temperature on these sort of areas of the board. And I'm just going to cheat and do that. Okay. And we just can push this back down, and we might be able to just get our nose down there. No. With the assistive heat, I might be able to actually do it with the micro pencil. I don't really recommend this, but what do I care? Come on. Come on, assistive. As long as it doesn't weld itself back down on the other side. Yeah, I'm going to have to go back to the chisel tip. There we go. And that moment that I let it go, it decided it... There we go. Come on. So apparently that one's defective. It's not excessively damaged in any visual way, so we'll just have to trust it. Alright, let's see if it got a short still. And our short has disappeared, so that's good. Clean up that excess solder. It's pretty hard to actually pick it up from this section. Oh, and that's what goes wrong. I'm really not a fan of doing wicking up this way. But like I said, I am trying to avoid the whole hot air situation down here. Now, we could actually leave this cap completely off. It's really not going to be that detrimental. There's so many others sitting on that rail ready to help it out. But we'll do it. We'll do it because there was one there, and we're trying to be prim and proper, aren't we? Alright, now I can actually just take one of the caps from another board, a donor board, and I'm not going to be too worried. So these are all the same. And I'm not too worried about applying the heat on this with the hot air, simply because of the fact that if I do damage any of the others, it's a donor board. In fact, I may actually take, say, one of these ones up here. They're easier to access, and I know that they're going to be the same. And we'll go to the board view and schematic just to prove that. Let's see. Yeah, we've got a 165. So the cap we removed was this one here. So you can see it's 62 microfarad. And this one up here is also 62 microfarads, exactly the same. And if you're wondering, yes, I'm kind of getting away with not having to look at the schematic because now I've loaded up all the part values on this thing. These are all no stuff parts. But for any parts that are on the board, okay, that's also no stuff. And yeah, you can see the individual values there. That's part of the project that I'm working on. It's part of the new release on Flexboard View. Anyway, so we know that we can use that cap. Hey, full wave. Alright, so we'll go steal that cap. It's just a more convenient one to grab. Miles, it's a bit of a rarity. I don't get that many of them anymore. Most of them just go straight into the dumpster. Or, like, I've got a fair number now that just... if they've got more than a simple problem, there's no point. Most of the time I'm getting things like 1706s, 07s, 08s, 1990s, things like that. But it's nice to have the 1466 make a reappearance. The only trouble is I have had to drop the price on the 1466 repairs. Otherwise people, there's no perceived value in repairing them otherwise. Hey Keith. Alright, so we have to put it in the right way around, which is not that way that I was about to put it. Now what we can do here is I am going to use a little bit of hot air, but I'm going to put down the leaded solder down there, and I can just take my time with it. Yeah, Miles, a lot of them are getting to the problematic compound fault situation. Okay, that's more than enough solder. Flux is starting to look a bit chunky. Hey Tom Morgan. There we go. Marvellous. Hey Jim Allen. Almost as good as factory. Just going to shove that into the cooler. There you go. Chill down for a bit. Miles, did you see the other night that we were lucky enough to declare the CPU death because of the R8111 test? I didn't know about that test, so it's added that to my list of things to check with PM Sleep S4L now. Hey, the warrant stamps. Alright. It's still fractionally warm, but it's okay. Okay, so we've got the chipmunk in. We don't have a fan, we don't need a fan. Okay, we've got power up. The wattage looks good, 10 watts, 600 milliamps. That's around about right what we get on these boards. 500 to 600 milliamp on boot for most of these. And we're just waiting for the green blink, which will indicate that the CPU is up and kicking. Yep, there we go. Okay, so that's pretty much most likely fixed. We'll go to our next step now, which is put it back into the chassis, boot it up with a test USB stick, and hopefully that goes alright. some not quite so professional people just like to see the fan spin and declare it as fixed, but we like to go a little bit further here. Like to make sure it actually is fixed. We have to go through, do all the tests, make sure the keyboard's working, audio's working, all that sort of stuff. So much more than just a fan spin. And, and yes, this will get ultrasonic cleaned afterwards. Do I like geckos? Now, it depends. There's the Australian native geckos, which are very interesting, and certainly they are. I've got no problem with them. Or there is the invasive non-Australian gecko that you hear going tuk 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 tuk, laughing at me, and those ones I do not like. We don't need them here, we don't want them here, but they're everywhere, and they displace most of the Australian ones. Okay, we are not going to put their drive back in yet. We only do that after we've confirmed everything else works. It's all about minimizing your chances of destroying something important. Alright, let's bring that up and find my USB stick. That can get lost around. Oh, here we go. I was going to say they can get lost around here because I haven't used it for quite some time, so fortunately I found it just drifting off the side. Okay, hit the option key. Hey Gavani. That's what we like to hear. Nice solid. Long display brightness is a little on the low side. That's okay, it'll come up in a bit. Miles, what on earth was it like? That must have been a very festering gecko. But certainly reptiles generally, when they start decomposing, there's a tremendous amount of ammonia and whatnot produced. So yeah, it's very hard to that scent. Yeah, you can always tell if there's a lizard gecko or some snake even that's died somewhere in here. Okay, battery showing full 100%, so that's good. Fan is running at a steady 1200, so that's good. Okay, we'll just bring that out. Wi-Fi is good. Check the FaceTime. There. Just bring up everything that I'm going to need. Yep, looks like FaceTime's working, so camera's good. Okay, let's check this keyboard. You have to do this every time, even when you think that there's nothing wrong with the machine. Okay, what have we got here? Left, okay, that's fine. Escape is good. Caps locks is good. Alright, keyboard's good. Now the sound, we already know it goes bong, and we can see the microphone is, and the controls are working fine there. Right. What else do we need to check? We need to make sure that the SD slot is okay. Come on, come here. See, the trouble is, even if you fix the main board, if you send it back and it's got one of these faults on it, like something not working, then it's sort of your fault, kind of. Okay, so fortunately that's working. Like, even if it was a pre-existing thing or whatever, the fact is it's come to you to be serviced. So hopefully you'll send it back serviced, even if it wasn't the primary fault. Let's see if Valley should give us a pretty decent frame rate. Let's see what we got. We have a 1.64 gig, okay, so it's not the beefiest of machines, but we should still get mid 20 to 30 frames per second. What made you decide to switch around your meter overlays? I did I? Oh, no, that's just purely accidental. It's not intentional. In fact, I don't even know why it did that, to be honest. Okay, that's good. Temperatures are coming up nicely, so it's not inhibiting, it's not throttling itself. It's going full out. It says, yeah, I'll take 100 degrees plus. That's sure, no problem. So that tells me that this machine is right to go. I mean, obviously I'm going to test it a little more, just put it on the shelf for a couple of days, stuff like that. Shut down, shut down, shut down, shut down. We'll plug in that SSD now and see if it comes up. Just gotta wait for it to turn itself off properly. Not that it's a major issue, but if I turn it off before it's had a chance to resynchronize with the USB stick, in terms of, you know, flush all the file buffers or whatever, then next time it boots up it can often be a bit of a mess. It sorts itself out, but being on a USB stick it takes a little longer than I like. Wow, except this is taking a bit longer. Here we go. Disconnect the battery, pull out all the bits and pieces, stick that drive in. I'm not going to bother connect that Wi-Fi because I've got to take it out anyway to do the, what do you call it, ultrasonic clean. And of course we have to have the privacy mesh now. A little bit of paper towel-y. There we go, booting up. Oh, that is one thing I forgot to test, is whether it wakes up when I put it to sleep. Normally I have a checklist on the job sheet on the computer and I just go through it, but because I'm chit-chatting. Okay, so that's come up, it's booted. Just going to let it go to sleep. Come on, go to sleep. Some of them take a while. Come on now. Wait for that fan to stop spinning. We're only at 33% gym level tonight. Yeah, it's actually, I'm kind of, Jim is being subjected to the horrors of daylight savings. So for him, it's actually about midnight at the moment. Yeah, we've gone to sleep, so now we wake up. Depends on how this person's configured their machine as well. Some of them, when you open the lid, it wakes up, like they only go into a light sleep. Others you have to actually hit the power button. Okay, this one's a power button job. Hey creature. It sounded like that speaker had a crackle in it. Alright, we're good. Shut down. Creature daylight savings here is just a completely, utterly meaningless, purposeless thing to do. Personally, I would prefer it if if businesses just simply said, look, we're going to have winter hours and summer hours, rather than having daylight savings, because jumping the clocks around is just murderous. Alright, so that one's fixed. Of course, it still has to go through the ultrasonic clean process, and sometimes they do not survive that. Although this one, I'd be very surprised if that did not survive it. It's a very distinct fault. The rest of the board looks pretty good. Actually, you know what? I didn't fully check the board, so I think what we'll do is we take this board out. I'll check the other suspect areas, places that can often have things developing, like around the SMC and things like that. So best we check that before we write this one off as being completed, because I didn't have a look. Normally I will, but this is a case of I was listening more to what the customer has told me in terms of I felt heat around the CPU, rather than looking around myself without knowing. Often it's quite good to have a look at a board without looking at what the fault is, so you don't have a bias as to what you're trying to find. Oops. Okay, so that's looking pretty good, nice and clean. No green corrosion development going on there. That's nice. Very nice and clean backlight driver. So this machine has probably been kept in a very sort of like an indoor office area. It certainly hasn't been near the beach. Probably isn't on a coastal area. Yeah, it's interesting. It's an FRU board, I think. I'm not sure. Not sure if that sticker is for field replacement unit or if it's just something else. But often you see that stamp and it says FRU, but I don't think that one said FRU. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Okay, check the other side. Make sure our 342 area is good. Make sure our SMC area is good. SMC reset enable. Check our sus area is good. It is. Yeah. Make sure there's no corrosion going on down here, which can often happen. Sneak past you. I think we're good. Yep. We'll put that one. That will get ultrasonic tomorrow. In the meantime, we'll put this back into the queue, or rather, I should say, the shelves, and we'll get another one. Huh. Well, what do you know? Another 1466, next one on the list. Okay. Okay, this one's coming from a business location that sends me the occasional machine. So as you can tell from the data on the bottom, they have their own chipmunk, which I sent them. It's often easier for me if I send some of my business clients a couple of pieces of equipment just so they can sort of pre-filter things before they send them to me. Otherwise, what happens is I end up with a lot of jobs that they could have easily solved back without them sending it to me. And while it could technically be money for me that I'm losing, it does, however, give me more time to do other things. Whereas if I'm spending all my time just doing battery replacements or simpler things, then I'm not going to have the time to do board repairs. Is this Christian? Things turn nuclear for you. What's going on over there? Immediately I check the news just in case there's something coming through about Ukraine. Anyone saying nuclear at the moment immediately makes me think of Ukraine. Alright, so what have we got? Try battery unplugged, separate charge port, no logic board fault. Okay, so they're declaring it the logic board fault. We'll disconnect the battery. $15.02. This would have been so much better if this was actually an A1502 retina, but alas, it is not. Yeah, I'll be very surprised if nuclear applied to Taiwan. I can only imagine that China would go in with, if they were going to do something like that, they'd just go in conventional. They've got enough people. I can't imagine they'd be doing it anytime soon, but I know they would like to, but can't imagine they would. Okay, I can see spots of damage over here. Anyway, I'll try to stay clear of the global political system. Brings up nightmares of myself as a kid, 1980s or so. Some pretty terrifying times back then. What am I doing? Why am I just randomly ripping out stuff? So this is why you shouldn't get distracted by things. I'm just going to plug that back in, plug this back in, and see what we get on our power supply. Okay, we do get a green light. What 30? We've got a colossal short somewhere. Okay, we had a momentary colossal short. At least it seemed that way. If you watch the power supply, yeah, nearly 30 watts, 25 watts, just firing off. So say we've, yeah, hopefully got a very obvious one. There's no heat up here. Not sure where that one will be. "25 watts is enough. I'll be able to actually either see it or feel it. And if you can't, then maybe this sort of work's not for you. Hey Phil, you're back. Anything interesting on your docket today, Phil? I haven't really been able to stay in attendance on your streams recently. I've been just a bit busy with the coding. So I'll log in and then just sort of go off and do my other coding bits and whatever and come back in, see if I can troll for a little bit and head off again. Make sure you take the heat sink off of the fireworks. Oh, please, let us hope it's not the CPU PCH. Although usually you don't typically get that sort of... Yeah, who knows. You know what, I'm just not going to second guess this. I'm just going to open it up and have a look. Hey, Murato. How's it going? Murato is the person who answered my call for producing a easy to use SMC flashing utility, and now everybody out there can easily flash SMCs thanks to the combined work. Oh yeah, oh yeah, look at that. And you see that? That there, that tells me exactly where the heat is. Interesting location of it, to be honest. Not... shit, it's under the PCH. God damn it. God damn it. Emotional damage. That's going to happen. Unless we're really lucky and it's a cap under there. Oh no, that's clustered. I don't know if you can see it, but that circuit board is actually bulged. There is a dome right here. It's just like this. There, you can probably see it from there now. The crapo. Wow, that really went thermonuclear, that one. Poor choice of words, I guess. But yeah, there's nothing you can do about that. I wonder what the initial culprit was, whether it was a bad cap or whether it was an internal board issue. But either way, yeah, it's end of the road. This is definitely a bin filler. Ah, shame, and it's 1.8 gigahertz. Sorry, 1.8 gigahertz, 8 gig of RAM. That really sucks. And this is why it died, right here. That is what killed it. That bit of corrosion there, that is on the CPU VREG controller, one of them. So if we have a look at the board view and schematic, see what pins we've got that are shorted there. Okay, so it's in this area here that it's shorted out. So particularly over here, 3v3S5, current sense, these are current sense. Skip select, and then up here, here we go, VFB2, voltage feedback. Okay, let's maximize this. Yeah, so the feedbacks would have been messed with, and that would have sent the output of this to places it shouldn't have gone, and that would have in turn made that get very angry. I wonder if it has actually shattered. Let's take the heatsink off and have a look. Curious to see whether it actually has shattered the PCH. Hey Vachumba, how's it going? Let's see. Apple doesn't like people fixing their stuff. Everybody knows that. Interestingly, there's no actual damage on the PCH itself, like the die. It's intact. So it looks like it's more of an internal layer problem. It makes me wonder whether if you took that CPU off, if you could use it. Shame. I've got another machine that has a dead CPU, that one that we did the other night, and it's got a shorted internal management, memory management unit. And so it would have been nice to take this CPU, put it on that board, and at least we get one living machine out of the two. Does that extra component data you have get recorded, get stored locally or within open? Tony, it's on the open board data project, but then Flexboard View downloads it, so then it is stored locally. But because most people are permanently connected on the internet at the moment, it will go and each time you load up the board view, if you want, it will go and check to see what the latest version is, like if there's been any more updates on that particular board view. On that open board data. And if there is, it downloads, and if there isn't, it just carries on. So you can still use it without the internet, but it is more convenient if you use it with the internet and just let it do its thing. No personal information is sent upline. The only time anything remotely close to personal is a unique identifier is used when you're submitting data. And that's primarily so that if somebody decides to go all stupid and rogue and flood the database with crappy data, then I can just simply purge it with that and then restore the non-crappy data, so on and so forth. What if you don't want your software carrying on? What? What did someone say about DOS-dude? Send to DOS-dude. No. You're talking about removing the CPU, or are you just talking about other things in general? The DOS-dude does some great work, but I said, if I wanted to pull the CPU, I suppose I could, but it's really not much point. I know I've got another job where I've got to move a PCH across from. Some jobs just aren't worth doing. It's not really a matter of technical capability, it's more a case of business practicality. I mean, it's cheaper just to go and buy another board than it is to invest in the time and the resources to actually do the move. And that's what it comes down to. There's a case of, are you doing this for business? Like as in, am I doing this to do a business? Yes, I am. Or am I doing it as a curiosity? No, I'm not. There are other things that I do as curiosities, sort of, but funnily enough lead into business, and that are things like my USB-C meter, my microscope light, and those sort of projects. They're more my curiosities. But if someone said, why don't you do CPUs and stuff, it's like, well, it's just not realistically worth it. The only time doing a CPU replacement becomes a potentially viable situation is if you have a board where you need to get the data off and you move the CPU and the T2 and everything else all over to another board. So yeah, say if the board's got internal short, which often does happen with some of the new ones, or like this one. I mean, these boards are starting to get old now. When you consider the last ones, I think 2017 was probably the last real production run they had. So they're 5 years old. And a lot of these, like 3437s, they're getting on now. They're going to be 10 years. Getting there anyway. Anyway, so it's a bit of a sad thing. Their sticker's probably okay. But that kind of sucks. Unfortunately for me, that's another case of I don't get any money. And that's why you got to just try and avoid the rabbit holes. That's why sometimes, rather than trying to prove that you're technically brilliant with these repairs, if you're really interested in just simply making a living, then the best thing to do is to cull the job as quick as you can, as soon as you feel like, you know what, this is just going to take me too long. And that is something that I have to learn more of, because I tend to have a little bit of a technical ego, I suppose, and I like to try and prove that I could fix this or that, and really it's a trap. It's just a trap. From a business perspective, it's a trap. Like I said, if it was a competition and sort of like it didn't matter how long it took or whatever, it was the outcome that mattered, then sure. Shit. Wrong thing. But yeah, but from business turnover, it's a death trap to go chasing those elusive wins. And it's hard to do it. Hard to, I should say, it's hard to not do it, not chase that rabbit. Particularly if you have or do come from the more technical side of things, like if you are traditionally a person who does do electronics engineering and things like that. So it's in your nature to try and understand these things more. But you've really got to let your business side take the reins and just walk away from the job. Like I said, yeah, I'm definitely susceptible to it. God knows, I mean, my shelves are full of jobs that it's a struggle every day. Yeah, it makes it sound like I'm an alcoholic or something. It's a struggle every day to say no and just walk away. Okay, so this here, oh crap, I just put red ink on the thing. What is it? Shorted PCB. PCB short CPU. That's a sort of a more pleasant way than saying it's dead. Do you charge to look at the machine? I generally do, yes. It depends on the customer. If the customer tends to have a pretty high ratio, a pretty high number of machines that they send, and most of them are repairable, then I will usually waiver that lookout fee. But if they only send a limited number of machines periodically, and say 50% or so or more, or even 25% more are duds, then the fee gets imposed. Because when you think about it, from the moment you start to finishing on a dud board, like how long did that just take? That was, I don't know, 20 minutes. Plus I've still got to finish up all the paperwork side of everything, so let's call it half an hour. Now on my hourly rate, that would be 65 odd, 70 odd Australian dollars. And then of course there's postage, then packaging costs. So it gets a little hard to actually justify that then. Because most people, if you said, look, it's going to cost you $100, even if it's a dud, because I'm not Apple, they're going to go, oh no, go to hell. And particularly from a business to business place, they're going to go, yeah, go to hell. Hey, any else? Hey Greg, what's going on? Yeah, creature, that's pretty much how it goes. I've just got to get this bottom off the next machine, which is a, what I use, 1707. Let's get the, we'll get the sticker up shortly. This one looks problematic to me straight away. The battery's already puffed. Okay, so what is this? 923 1707. What are you? I always get the numbers mixed up. Is it 850 or 923? I can't remember. Anyway, what is your fault? No chipmunk lights. Not pulling any power. Tried both with and without battery connected. Issue logic board. Okay. On these boards, they usually are corrosion around the CD3215. So if we do only get 5 volts showing up on the USB-C connector, 5 volts, 167. That's actually a little high. Normally I prefer a bit lower than that, but I'm going to say most likely we have corrosion on a CD3215. Being a little bit higher gives me concern because it makes me wonder if there is more damage than just a corroded cap. Guess we're going to find out. You're right, and yes, time is not free, and we seem to spend a lot of time trying to convince people that they should be paying for our time. I am a big believer that we should be able to trade time. Like, if I do basically most of my work locally as on an appointment basis, and I go to considerable lengths to make sure that the people are aware of the fact that this is an appointment-based business, and if you say you are going to be here at 1 o'clock, then I expect you to be here at 1 o'clock plus or minus 10 minutes. And when you don't turn up until 2:30 and we've got some excuse like, oh yeah, well I just, some flimsy thing, then I don't really take too kindly to it. Now I know that's perhaps expecting a little much. Most people are quite casual in this town. It is a country town after all, rural location in Australia. But at the same time, if you have conversed with the client to be and said, this is the time that I'm available, then it no longer really is a casual situation. I mean, so you imagine just rocking up at the doctor's at whatever time you felt like. To be fair, doctors probably ruin it for a lot of other businesses by the fact that they are really bad for keeping their schedules. And I understand why they do it. Yeah, it's all about maximizing their making sure there's no time gaps. So they basically pack in blocks the people, because they don't really know who's going to turn up and who's not going to turn up and whatever. But as long as they can generally keep their schedule fully packed, so there's no gaps, then they're happy. They don't really care about the actual individual patient in that case. It's all about maximizing their minutes. But anyway, so yeah, I get quite miffed at people who exploit my tendency to try and help. And funnily enough, and most people who have gone through life will recognize this, it's usually the people it's the people that you try to help outside of your normal hours and things like that are the ones that are worst. So many times I will have someone call me up saying, look, I'm coming in, it's after hours, I'm not going to get into town till after hours, and I really need this phone fixed. Can you do me a favor and fix it tonight or whatever? And I'm like, yeah, sure, okay. I understand how it is, so pop on around, and a lot of the time they'll drop it off quickly enough. And I'll say to them, this is going to take 30 minutes, come back in 30 minutes, it will be ready. I've got FPOS, which is the card transaction system. I said, come back then. And then you don't hear from them for about 2 or 3 hours. And eventually you get a message on Facebook, oh, yeah, is it alright if I still come over now? It's like, get fucked. And I've had a few people where I had one person who really screwed me around a lot. And in the end, they eventually were able to make it around. But it was outside of what I said. And I just didn't answer the door. And they said no. And then they turned up the next day before my schedule started, which was midday. And I said, so come back at midday, because I'm busy doing other things. And it's true, because in the first part of the day, I'm dealing with all the other stuff. I've got to deal with Micro, with his diabetes and all that sort of thing. And so, you've got these schedules for a reason. And sometimes you have to be a little bit rough to people because they willingly choose not to respect your hours. And if they're not going to do that, even after you've tried a couple of times to explain, then, what else are you going to do? So I don't like doing that. It's not in my nature to do that. I try to be helpful, and unfortunately, I think people can sense that in me, and so they just sort of go, he'll be right. He'll be there when we want him to be. It's like, no. At least that's a nice thing when you finally get a bit older or you get into a more comfortable financial position. You can finally start to let people know that they're the jerks they are. Okay, I'm just brushing off all the dust. As you probably saw when I took that out, there was a good chunk of dust all over that board. Like I said, I don't want to be an asshole to people, but if after 2 or 3 attempts they still just continue to disrespect your requests to actually turn up on time, then everything's off. And then, of course, they usually have the audacity to ask for a discount or something like that. Alright, so we do have corrosion developing around here. Pretty sure this is... Oh, yeah, look at that one. That's a goner. Yep. It's actually not in the normal place that I expected. But what's weird about this one is that it's got all this... It's like flux or something. Like someone been here before. Yeah, it's definitely a goner, but it looks like someone's been here before. But yeah, it's nice having the power to tell people to F off. Not because you want to tell them that, as in, you're not going out of your way, because at the end of the day, you still need customers. Oh, it's a 281. Geez, no wonder I didn't recognize you. I'm not used to dealing with 281s. Yeah, at the end of the day, customers are your lifeblood. You need them, and you do have to... This has definitely been worked before. You can see all the stuff that they've been doing. See, there's all this... Like they've brushed it over with probably alcohol and a toothbrush or something. Yeah, this is another thing that I'm going to have to start clamping down harder on. Pre-work jobs. But I'm going to guess that CD3215 is the problem. At least I think it is. There's some other dodginess around here, but not bad. This does tend to frustrate me a little bit as well, is that, and this is capitalism for you, I suppose, but the business places, they will go to the cheaper service people, and I'm not gonna race down to the bottom of the barrel, because that's definitely a game you lose. That cap there is also possibly shorted, and then we've got oxidization on that resistor down there. Oh, where? Ooh, yeah. Okay, here we go. Yeah. No, that's probably more what we're looking at as a problem. Anyway, and as a consequence, because they go to the cheapest offering, or the cheaper offering, a lot of machines end up dying that don't have to die, and people end up spending more. But that's a pretty much a universal truth across many different industries. It's certainly not unique to this one. Let's see what's going to beep on us. Not you. Not you. You! Alright, okay. Wasn't expecting you. I'm going to say that the short is further down. We'll have a look at the schematic and board view. Like 281, wow. I don't remember the last time I even looked at a 281. Okay. Well, it looks like I've got some know there's some data there. Let's see. Let's see if we've got any OB data download. Wah. Damn. There's no information whatsoever for this board. Well, that sucks. Anyway, let's have a look. So we have a short on this one here, 3v3 UPC LDO. See, Mr. Stamps, you should tell them if the board is being worked on with a base charge of 1 hour. Yeah, you know, that's the other thing. I've got to work on my adult voice a little more. I do agree. Okay. Well, it does it's limited to this here. Where else do you go? That's definitely weird. I think it would be a prudent move to remove that, redo that. I'll take the cap off, but I'm pretty sure they've trucked up the 3215, and certainly down here. Oh shite! Do quad display. That's better. Yeah, as I was saying, I'm pretty sure they've mucked up this. I mean, this is really gnarly as well, and I don't know what's going down there. I don't think that's actually a shorted cap. I think they've squished them balls or something there. And of course I'm worried about this stuff here. I'm not quite sure what those are yet. Let's have a look. Okay, so what have we got? 1, 2, 3, 4, fifth one up. PMU, oh crap. Always got to be the freaking VREFs, doesn't it? And what about you? SM bus, PMU, BIs. Okay, so that's a I2C control. Hopefully that hasn't caused any major issues. Fingers crossed. So, who wants to bet that it's the CD3215 or it's the cap? I'm just going to take a fair bit of these parts off anyway. Unfortunately, Catherine, to get that to happen, to have people send it directly to me, it's really my own fault in that respect. I should be doing better marketing for myself. Like, I'm the only one that can get the message out there. I am working on that. I'm going to do a website fix up, and yeah, I've got a few things in the pipeline. All just takes time. Anyway, let's see. I bet you it still goes beep. It didn't. Oh, wow. Okay. So this cap apparently is a wire. And yet it's the best looking cap on the board. Oh, yeah, no, wait, I can see it. That was a really weird effect then on my head. There, you can see that colossal planar crack on the top front edge. Now, I honestly admit I was not expecting that. Genuinely was planning on the CD3215. But I'm definitely going to clean up these little bits and pieces here because it looks a little shonky. What's crazy is while I'm doing this, I don't think my hands are shaking too bad, but whenever I look at my videos and I come back to them, it's just like, wow, I've got the shakes all over the damn place. Yeah, there is definitely some crap under here. I don't know what that is. A piece of junk. We'll put 2 new caps on, see how it behaves. I'm gonna guess that they will probably be, I think they're 10 microfarad 6.3s. They're 10 6.3. 10 6.3. Yep. Okay, we'll grab ourselves a couple of those. Oh, what size are they? 402s, aren't they? Oh, did I close the... .402s, yep. Hey Artin, welcome. Let's see, 1 microfarad 10 volt? Nope. 10 volt 25? Nope. Wait, what am I... digging around in the 603 box, not the 402 box. I blame the way I actually say the numbering, because when I say 1063, I'm meaning 10 microfarad 6.3 volts, but it also could be applicable to 10 microfarad no voltage specification and 603 size. A little bit of ambiguity there. Come on, how'd you go? There we go. Shot of something nice and strong. For me, something nice and strong would be more than 5 hours of sleep. If I could get a couple of weeks of solid 7 hours sleep each night, that would be bloody brilliant. And now I've... oh, right, okay. Honestly, sleep is such an important thing that I am not getting in my life. Oh, fuck's sake. Sorry. Mr. Swear came out. I do apologise. I was supposed to say truck, not the other one. Alright, well, since that participant has abandoned the game, I've got to get another one. Miles, unfortunately not. They do tend to bash on the door and they cause other... The trouble is, see, they cause enough secondary damage when they don't get what they want to make it such that it's better for me to not lock them out. The real problem here is, while it's easy to blame the kitty cats, the truth is that I don't go to bed early enough. If I went to bed, say, at midnight, I would be fine. Because most of the time, the little craphead fur babies, they don't bother really getting up until much, around about 7, 8 anyway. So yeah, I've only got myself to blame. Miles, now when you say improved, what you actually mean is that I swear more. Okay, so we're going to take this cap here. Yep, that just fell straight off. and then there is that resistor up higher. So given that that cap just crumbled off, that's a bit of a problem. It means it's probably pulled the veer stalk out. Just switch over to the main microscope. There we go. Yeah. Oh, we got lucky. We got lucky. The end of the component became its own sacrificial anode. Thank goodness for that. Have you seen your fork of the GDM 8341? Made the code with the Rigol. You messaged me about that, didn't you? You sent me an email about that. Don't take it personally. I just simply haven't had a chance to scratch myself once in quite a while, so I've sort of had to. I read the emails and I go, "Oh, that's cool," and then I just sort of. Then the world comes knocking, and I've got to get going. Like I said, it's nothing personal. I actually look forward to the time when I can actually spend more time on those sort of interesting things, because they are more interesting than just working on these boards or dealing with other things. Okay, so this particular capacitor, it's 100 nanofarad, 16 volt, 201. Okay, where's my 201s? There they are, over in the wall stack. So I find myself my 100 nanofarads, 2.2, 2.2, 100 nanofarads, 16 volt, right on the money. Cool, man. I don't know if these ones specifically are via in-pad, but it's pretty common on these boards to have that sort of thing. Because space is rather constricted with a lot of the layouts, they have this, they like to do it. And so you lose the pad and you lose the connection. It's very frustrating. Okay, we're going to get this resistor here. Okay, good. Came out nice. Just saying in case someone has the same digital multimeter and can use it to help you capture. Okay, yep, that's cool. I will try to remember. I need to sort of create a GitHub page or something that shows all the ones that are done that people can use. Plus, there was on Twitter there was a submission of how to use SIGROC to export data that works with the FlexBoard View pickup. Crusty on the bottom right corner. It's not too bad. Or are you talking about this one here, creature? Because that one's got to be tackled. I mean, it looks like it's just starting to sulfate, but we'll get this one out of the way first. Can only do one thing at once, damn it, creature. Not like you, not a superhuman. And lo and behold, that's a 0 ohm. I actually am embarrassed. I should actually have known that, because I have rebuilt this area on these boards so many times. Not necessarily this particular 281 board, but the configuration that they have here, they copy it to a few of the others, and very frequently it gets completely chewed out by corrosion, and so you have to rebuild the whole area. And so that's why I'm a bit disappointed in myself, because I should have known that that was going to be a 0. But sometimes it's better to just double check everything rather than make the assumption and get it wrong. Wow, what the hell was that? I saw something just fly past. You might not have seen it. It was probably outside of the clipping area of the camera. I'm fairly sure I saw another 201 component fly off somewhere. Being a 201, gee, it could have gone anywhere. Yeah, all I know is that it is no longer on the board. Alright, our R4203, this one here, is a 0 ohm, but it's a 402. Yeah, Pachumba, it looked like a resistor, yeah. I think it might have just been one that fell out of the packet. Anyway, so this is a 0 ohm. I'm trying not to do too much heating onto this. I do replace these on occasion, but I prefer not to. It was a new resistor, yes. And that's why I was thinking it came out of the packet. Oh, way too much solder, Paul, way too much. Nah. Okay, 0 ohm 402. Not really a common one to come across. Two caps. So much to the point where I'm not even sure where my 402 resistor box is. Regulators, crystals, headers, 402 caps, 603 caps, 201 resistors, 201 capacitors. Yeah, where the hell's my 402 resistors? I'll find them. I will find them. Obviously I can just take it from a donor board if I truly had to, but naturally I prefer to replace dud parts with new parts. Ah, there we go, 402 resistors. Four oh two 0 ohm. Yeah, it looks like somebody's been using a few of them. Yeah, see, another one fell out. I think what it is they're just sort of like coming out of the case, the strip. Anyway, I don't know what that one is. I dare not risk it. But I do know that was the one I was looking at. Just a little bit too much solder on that. Okie doke. Oh yeah, I better change that cap. Well, that's probably not failed yet. It's going to. And it's a fairly common one on most of these boards. The 239, 923, 850. They all have this. Alright, now you're just making me look dumb. I was going to try and pickle it before I picked it off, but looks like we're just going to go straight for the pick off. Alright, there we go. It's one of the few times I will actually forcibly try and twist the cap off. to get it to come off quicker, because I don't want to overheat this section here. And this has such a strong, broad circuit board layout there that it's at no risk of pulling up a trace. Whereas if you try to do that in some other areas where it's just sort of like held on by a 6 or 8 thou trace, and then it really doesn't go down very well. These ones are nice and chunky, so you can get away with it. Okay, that's you, 3501, 2.225. Hot tweezers can suck a... yeah. Hot tweezers can go to hell. 2.225. They sound like a marvellous thing in theory, but in reality they rarely live up to it. You end up using them so infrequently, it's just not worth the money. 2.225 for OT. I mean, yes, you could use them quite a lot, but realistically, it's just, they're more of a pain. The inconvenience I experience of having to sort of work around what would be good for a hot tweezer situation is less overall than having to, you know, buy hot tweezers, only use them for hot tweezer situation. Yeah, it's just, yeah. Okay, I mean, yeah, that sat down nicely, but it's not reflowed yet. Okay, there we go. Miles, seems like you're a proponent of them, but I've never found them to be that good for what I'm doing. I mean, you're obviously doing the same sort of stuff. I don't know, we just never got along. Okay, board is hot. Let's put it in the cooler. Find myself a USB-C connector somewhere. That's the other fun thing in life. Yeah, everybody's got their own different styles and techniques. People will scream and shout till they're blue in the head over what they think's best. At the end, well, as long as it works for you, that's good. That's what matters. And if the opportunity should arise, there's always the chance that at a future time I might get to revisit and, like, you know, go, maybe this might actually work, and try again. Oh, for God's sake, Fry. How do I not have a spare USB-C thingamajig? Seriously? Ah, there it is. It's sitting on a board that was in the shelf off on another board. Okay, so hopefully we'll get something looking more like a boot this time. So we want to try and beat 5 volts. We want to see 20 volts and a couple of hundred milliamps. And that's CD32. Oh, there we go. 20 volts and 1.3. 1.3. Ooh. Yeah, 1.3 is a little bit of an aggressive current, but we'll explore that option. So I'm not sufficiently familiar with the 281 to know off the top of my head what I should be anticipating to see. I was more expecting 700 milliamp. Anyway. As you can see, it's got a hell of a lot of dust in it, so we're going to put on the extractor and abuse it as if it was a vacuum cleaner, which is not what they're designed for. And what it means is I'm going to have to put a new pre-filter in there. That's okay. It's due for one anyway. Better than me sucking it up. Yeah. I'll be happy if this is fixed. That means 2 machines for tonight. While it would have been nice to have had the other one, I will take a 66.6 recurring percent success rate. Because 2 out of 3 ain't bad. Miles, that's why it's going into the HEPA filter. If it wasn't going into the HEPA filter, I would not be doing this inside. It also doesn't help that it's nighttime, and I don't really care to take this outside with the vacuum cleaner and all that sort of stuff. A little bit noisy. Stir the fur kids up because they should be settling down around about now, about to close up all the doors and things like that. Get them inside. Okay, I've probably gone a bit silly here connecting everything up, but call it habit. Will the board be ultra? This one definitely will be ultrasonic, yes. With all that prior grime and gunk on it, it's certainly a candidate for being ultrasonic. It needs it, yeah, for its continued good health. I am putting the battery in because I want to see if that even... Oh man, I want to see if that charges. See if it even detects it at least. Moles? What? Oh, they would dust the computers inside. Yeah, that's a surefire way of getting yourself an occupational health issue. And Jim Allen's on the ball. He picked that up. Good job, Jim Allen. Good job. Alright, looks like we're losing a bit on our bit rate here of the upstream. Okay, we've got a beating computer. Fan spin at least. No screen yet. Okay, but this is only just coming back up, so it might take a little longer. Yep, we've got an Apple logo. Yeah. When these machines are being completely disconnected and restarting again for the first time, they can take a little bit longer before they Apple logo. Oh, cool, man. I'm all in for Futurama too. Absolutely. Futurama is my jam as much. Okay, still Apple logo. It is creeping up. I think the battery might be the problem here. At their desk where they eat. Ugh, gross. So, oh, what's this? Nearly lost one of my dogs on Sunday. Collapsed suddenly from internal oh, crikey. Yeah, that's really rough going. Unfortunately, as you say, he's got cancer, so is it a palliative care situation? Either way, I'm sorry to hear that. Ding, 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 ding. Yep. You gotta avoid crashing into the signpost. Alright, so we do have a battery detected here. and it appears to be charging, and if we look at the current on the screen, we're like pushing 3 amps, so it's doing a good job. But we've got puffed battery cells on this, so it's going to need replacing, but I'm not going to do it. I'm going to leave that to the other tech shop. I try very hard not to do bundled services for this sort of thing. If it's a normal customer, I will quote on a bundled service, but if machines are sent to me for a board repair, then I try to restrict it to a board repair, because there's just too many other secondary issues that can come up. Like if there's a problem with the battery and they take it back to the store, then the store has to send it back to me, and then I've got to send the battery back to my supplier, and so it's a bit of a long chain of warranty. But if I just do the board, then I can warrant the board for any hiccups that I may have, like I had with Jason the other day. But yeah, when it comes to bundled services, it's like, no, big pass on that. Okay, Jim, yeah, good luck with the personal therapy. Sorry to hear about that. It's just borrowed time. Yeah, I know. It's really rough, and unfortunately, as a fur parent, it's something we all have to endure. Um, yeah, I try not to think about the number of times I've had to say goodbye, both with ones that are my own and, of course, ones that I take care of, or foster ones. It's always hard, regardless of the situation. So yeah, you've definitely got my full sympathies there. All right, I think we can call this one a fix. I will test its performance later, I'd say though, but it will be a little bit sluggish until that battery comes up, and I'm not going to do any testing because it's currently midnight, and it's probably time for me to kick off, go back and do some more software development on the Flexboard View. The new Flexboard View, if you are interested in a copy, the licenses, if you buy one now, before I do the release, that's fine, because you do get to upgrade afterwards anyway. So you're not going to get locked out of the new version if you're considering buying it. And I will try to do a good video of the new version so that it all comes out as a nice big promotion, because I think even though I wasn't really into doing this whole schematic data capture thing where you take the part values and all that, now that I've done it and actually used it, I can see the value in it. Not, funnily enough, not for the reasons that other people were trying to tell me to do it for, but just in terms of me doing it, I have found it to be useful. So hopefully that all comes together, and I'm got to organise when the hell I'm going to have an interview of Lewis Rossman, or he's interviewing me. So it means he's going to probably ask me some very offensive questions about being upside down, and whether I ride a koala or prefer a kangaroo, things like that. So, but we'll see how we go. All right, well, I'm out of here. I'm choking up. Nearly died. That was wild. I lived. I'm okay. All right, I'm out of here. You take care. I'll see you next time. Have a good one.